2, testing. Okay. We are live, but this link is not on the YouTube, on the school page, so I'm going to try and Hello, one of you found, 2 of you found it. That's good. I'm going to try and put the link to it on our page if I can. If not, we might have to give up. Hello, Rayan, you found it. Can you hear me now? Hello, you found it. Good, we've got 4 people. Can you hear me this time? Yes, Rayan, you're in the right place. Can you hear me now? Good, that's good. We are back, yes. There are 2 people back. I'm just trying to upload it to the Year 2 page, this link, so that other people can find it. Just give me a minute or 2. It was a mission, I thought I lost you. A mission in space. Yeah, it was like a space mission, wasn't it? Oh dear, what a shame. Let's try and upload this to Year 2. If I can get the link. 6 people have found it, well done. We'll give it a minute for other people to come back in because I don't want to start again without them. 6 people are watching. Let's get that up. Let's get the link. Let's copy it. Put it on the Year 2 page. Part 2. Save. And save. Okay, hopefully that comes up on the Year 2 page. 11 people have found me, so that's good. We're having a bit of issue with the sound, so I do apologize. Yes, the volume is low. But I will try and shout so that you can hear me a bit better. Right, we've got 10 people. I've put it on the Year 2 page. Hopefully people can find it. But for now, we are just going to carry on. So let's have a look. We got to the pictures of the International Space Station. Here is the space station, and I was saying these large panels here, they are solar powered. So the International Space Station gets a lot of power from the sun. That's where it takes a lot of power from, because you can't run a plug, you can't run a wire up to the International Space Station. So it has to get its power from somewhere else. Let's have a look at another picture. Here in this picture, we can see dinner time. So this is people eating on the International Space Station. As you can see, it's a bit of a free-for-all. People are floating around, grabbing food from above, but they're around a table. It's almost like eating on Earth, except you're floating around. Could you imagine that, having a meal flying around? No more pass the salt. You just float over and you get the salt. Let's see what else. Oh, there's a picture of what it is like inside the space station. So this is one of the corridors. Look how many computers, how much wiring there is. It's a bit claustrophobic, a small space that you've got to exist in, isn't it? Hi, Safia. Thank you for coming in. And then we've got this image, which I'm going to make slightly bigger. This is my favorite image of the space station. Let's have a look. What do you think that is? Write it in the chat. What do you think that picture is? This is my favorite of all the pictures of the space station. What do you think that is? Yeah, absolutely. There's glass. There's glass on the space station. That is a window, but it's a 360 window. Astronauts can sit in there and they can look down and they can see the Earth below. How fantastic is that? Could you imagine being up there? I think it would be quite scary. I'm not the best with heights. When I'm up high, I get a little bit queasy. But could you imagine sitting in there, looking out those windows and seeing the Earth below as you're tumbling around the Earth, seeing all the continents, seeing all the oceans, seeing the formations of the clouds? Is that you back, Azan? I hope you are, because later we're going to read your nonsense poem. So if that is you, Azan, welcome back. Yeah, it's beautiful. And we're going to watch a video in a minute that shows us exactly what you can see from the International Space Station. But first, I've got a few facts for you. The first one we've actually talked about. It goes around a whole planet 16 times every day. We talked about that 16 times. Yeah, that is a picture of Earth. It goes around the planet 16 times every day. Let's find out more. The first piece of the International Space Station, because it had to be built up there, the first piece was sent up in 1998. That's all right, Umi. You're making her listen to me. Poor Umi. Okay. The first part was sent up in 1998, and it was sent up by a Russian rocket. It took it up, it set it in orbit, and then they had to slowly take other bits of the International Space Station up into space as well. Can anybody tell me how long ago 1998 was? We're in 2021, so there's 21 years. 1998, how long ago was that? Can anyone work it out? Just type it into the chat, a little bit of maths. How long ago was 1998? Rayan, your answers, honestly, they just come through so quickly. So proud of you. Well done. Yes, 23 years ago. That's when the first piece went up. It was finished in the year 2000. 21 years ago. And in the year 2000, that's when people could start going up to the International Space Station, going and living up there. Right. It's basically a big floating space laboratory. So where scientists work in a lab, it's one of those, but up in space. And that allows them to conduct lots of different experiments. The main one being how humans exist in space and how long and how well they exist in space. And their reasoning for doing that is they want to see how far humans can go into space and how long they can exist there so that they can do missions to other planets. The next one, obviously in our sights, is Mars. People want to land on Mars, and the space station and their experiments up there are vital for doing that. They also do things like growing vegetables to see if they can grow food in space, because a lot of the space of the rockets that are sent up and the ships that are sent up, they carry lots of lots of food. And they're trying to find a way to make food in space so that they can grow it as they go along a journey, which might take years. I think at the minute it would take 4 years to get to Mars. So they need to think about how they're going to eat, what they're going to drink, what they're going to use. And they do experiments up there to test that out. Okay, the longest anybody's been in space. Now, it wasn't on the International Space Station, it was on a different station. But the longest anyone has ever been in space is 438 days. Yes, you're right, Umi, it is freezing in space. It's also freezing down here today. Could you imagine that? Living up there on a small space station for over a year. It might get quite lonely. There's not that many people up there. Over a year they've spent on that space station, 438 days. Final one, and I found this one quite funny when I looked up this fact, but passing wind on the space station is dangerous. So if you pass wind down here, it's a bit smelly and it's not very pleasant, and you might apologize for it. But in space, on the space station, it's actually quite dangerous to pass wind. Does anybody know why that might be? It's quite funny why it might be dangerous on the space station to pass wind. Anybody? Any ideas? No one in the chat? I'll give you... Yeah, really? It's something to do with gases, Ryan. It is something to do with gases. Because, yeah, it will float around. It will float around. But think about what happened with that water that we saw. It formed a sphere, didn't it? Why do you think it might be dangerous to pass wind on the International Space Station? That's a good answer. No, it's not because of suffocation. It's basically the gas when you pass wind is methane. There's methane in it, and that is flammable. It can set on fire. So basically, if you pass wind on the space station and that floats around as a sphere, there's a chance it could ignite and there could be a fire. So passing wind down here, bit smelly, up there, dangerous, could set on fire. Right, the view from above. Okay, this is what I told you about. I'm going to play a video, and this is a video from the International Space Station. So you're going to see Earth, what it looks like from up there. I'm going to play it so you can have a little look.
This is crispy korma salmon using some patak korma paste. Outrageous.
Okay. Adverts. Right, here we go.
In December of 1972, 3 astronauts blasted off on the last Apollo mission to the moon. Along the way, they looked back and took these pictures of what NASA now calls the blue marble.
Right now we're at the first discovered is that we'd like to confirm for the crew of America that the world is round. Roger, that's a good data point.
Today, 4 decades later, astronauts look down at their planet every day from the International Space Station, a Tinker Toy dragonfly orbiting the Earth 250 miles up. From here, the Earth is a world among other worlds, all executing a dance choreographed by gravity. The moon do-si-dos slowly behind the Earth's limb, squashed flat by the atmosphere. Sunrise comes as a sudden arc of light against black space.
And remember, with the sunlight, they see that 16 times a day. 16 times a sunrise.
No longer bound by the cycle of day and night. Some orbits might look up at an unsetting sun, tracing a wheel in the sky, or look down on the dark shadow of the solar eclipse.
Here we can see video from the International Space Station. That is what our planet looks like from above.
You can see it breathe, belching gas from volcanoes, and wrapped by whirling storms of rain and lightning.
Did anyone see that
The oceans are
thunderstorm?
constantly-
Hey, there's the window that we looked in the picture. We saw in the picture.
Life as we know it. As the station slips into night, the world's nervous system emerges.
Look at all the lights. Isn't that
The
pretty?
lonely gulfs are lit up by constellations of oil drilling platforms, extracting the fossilized remains of ancient suns.
You can see the ozone layer, the invisible gas that's around our planet.
But it goes far enough north and south to see the wavering crowns.
Look at the northern lights. How beautiful.
Once we looked up at the heavens from Earth. Now we look down.
You can see all the lights filling the sky and the clouds.
Spinning ball under the fixed stars. A waypoint for the wandering comets. In the decades since Apollo, robot spacecraft have visited all planets except Pluto. In July of 2013, the Cassini spacecraft looked back and snapped a picture. Far beyond the many-hued rings of Saturn was our own blue marble. A pale blue
That's
dot,
Earth,
as Carl said.
right there. That little dot.
Still the only pale dot we know. Yet.
Wow. Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that amazing? There was something mentioned. I wonder if anybody caught it at the end there. Can anyone tell me what was the year that we last went to the moon? It said it, the last Apollo mission. Right in the chat. Can anyone get it? Did anybody notice it? The last Apollo mission to the moon. It's quite a long time ago. We haven't been to the moon in a very, very long time. No, it's longer ago. No, longer than 98, longer than 2013. Very long time ago since we went to the moon. No, that was the first moon landing, 1969, but well done, well remembered. That was the first. We've been back quite a few times, but we stopped. We stopped going. It was on that video. Did anyone catch it? No, not 1979. I believe it said, you might want to fact check me on Google, but I believe it said 1973. So that was a very, very long time ago. Does anybody know why we stopped going to the moon? I think I mentioned it on the 24-hour live chat. Why did we stop going to the moon? There was a reason we stopped it. Does anybody remember why we stopped going to the moon? Or can anybody have a guess at why we stopped? Well done, Rayan. Absolutely brilliant. It was too expensive. The first moon landing cost, and bear in mind, this was in the 60s, so this was a lot of money. It cost 25 billion pounds. Let me show you that number. Let me show you how much it cost to get to the moon the first time. Look how much money that is. It took 25 billion pounds to get to the moon. And each one after it, it took lots and lots and lots. Was it 72, miss? Okay, sorry, 72, a year out. But it cost billions and billions just to get to the moon. So they had to stop it. It was costing too much. Plus, they'd been to the moon, they'd seen the moon, they'd conducted the experiments that they wanted to do, and so they stopped. But around that time in the 60s, everything was about space. Toys were about space. TV shows were about space. Everything was about space because everyone was so excited by the fact that they'd landed on the moon. All right, we've learned a little about the International Space Station, and I want you to save that now. If you've got any notes, that'd be great because we'll need them right at the very end. But we're going to pause the International Space Station there, the floating space laboratory, and we're going to look at something else. Okay, let's go. This man here, Tim Peake. Does anybody know anything who he is and what he did? Anyone? Right into the chat. Tim Peake. Who knows about Tim Peake? No, that's fine, Rayanne. We'll talk about him in a moment. Anybody know about Tim Peake? UK space. Yeah, could you elaborate? Could you give me a bit more than that? UK space. Something to do with UK and space? I do not know. Works at the International Space. He did go to the International Space Station. Really good guess. Anything else? He's on Lorraine. Yeah, I'm sure he's been on lots of shows and had done lots of interviews. Well done, Azan. Anything else? Yeah, well done. That's really good. Yeah, he was an Air Corps officer for the Army. So he worked for the Army and he was part of the Air Corps. He was an astronaut as well, or is, or was, or is. I don't know if he is anymore, but he was an astronaut. Okay. In 2015, how long ago is that? 2015, how long ago is that? Write the answer. How long ago? Quick maths. How long ago is 2015? We're 2021. When was 2015? 6 years. Okay. So within your lifetime, if you're in year 2, maybe in year 1 or above, this happened in your lifetime. Yeah. You were alive when this happened. In 2015. And in fact, we watched this in class because I was in year 3 at the time and we watched this live. We watched it happen. Tim Peake was the first UK English astronaut to go to space, to the space station with the European Space Agency. So not NASA, Europe's space agency. There have been people from the UK go before, but he was the very first that went to the International Space Station in 2015 from the UK with the European Space Agency. Let's look at him a little bit more, a few facts. Just said that one. He was up there. He was on the International Space Station for 186 days. So about half a year, about 6 months, he stayed on there. He was a commander in the army before, so he worked in the army. Then they did basically an open invitation. They said to people, do you want to be on the International Space Station? We need someone to go up. And they opened it, and 4,000 people decided, yeah, I want to go. And they put in their CVs and they said, yeah, I'll do it. And they had to go through all these 4,000 people. And in the end, they chose this man out of the 4,000, Tim Peake, and he was the one who went up. While he was in space, the famous chef Heston Blumenthal, he cooked him a meal and sent it up to the space station, and he ate it live on television. So that's quite interesting. When he came back to Earth, he found it really, really difficult getting used to the gravity again. So that's what I was saying before. In space, without gravity, your muscles get weaker. So when you come back to Earth and you experience Earth's gravity again, it's really hard just to walk because your leg muscles have got weaker from being up there for so long. So, very important man in modern space travel. Tim Peake was one of the most recent astronauts from the UK to go into space. And I have a video for you of him going to space. So let's have a little look, shall we? Make sure you're taking notes on this. You might want to add a sentence about Tim Peake. Let's have a look at the video.
You can see they're starting the light. You can see the track in the last little bit. For all of England, counting out all of the UK. Getting ready for launch. Here we go. The station's lighting.
So this was 2015. We watched this live in the classroom. Tim Peake is in that rocket there. He's at the very top of it as it's blasting off, going to the International Space Station. And it was, Mr. John, and it was very exciting. It was really exciting when we watched it live. And we were all there, we were all watching, we were all hoping that it would all go successfully. There is Tim Peake inside the rocket. You can see how much it's shaking because of this little device at the top moving around.
Which you can see there on the split screen. So this is
So they've got inside the rocket and outside of the rocket here.
See how hard the acceleration is by how this little floating thing is being shaken by the acceleration. Yuri is carefully looking at things.
And there it goes. And in a moment, what you're going to see is they show a window. They show, because they've got a little window beside Tim Peake. And out of the window, you can see him leaving the Earth and entering space. So you can see the blue of the Earth and the darkness of space beyond it. And Tim Peake doesn't even look out of the window. The reason he doesn't look out is because he's so focused on driving that spacecraft. He has to watch the instrument, so he doesn't look out the window. But I think he does do a little thumbs up later. So let's have a quick look when it goes back in. There you go. He just said where it's from. It launched from Kazakhstan.
They'll separate and actually flip away.
In a moment, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see the thrusters break off from the ship, because it doesn't take the whole ship there. It uses parts of it, and then those parts break away. Here we go, look. It's going to break there. These bits, you might not be able to see it quite clearly on your screen, but there are bits breaking off of the spacecraft. Now, yes, it is real, Mr. Jordan. There are bits breaking off of the spacecraft. It's done with those rockets. It doesn't need those rockets anymore, so it gets rid of them. Good morning.
That's right. Now it's that central rocket burning for another few minutes as it gets them. Now that they're above the air, now they just have to get...
Here we are again. I'm just waiting for that bit with the window where we can see out into space. It doesn't need those bits, Mr. Jordan, because they've already done their job. They've lifted the rocket off. They'll just weigh it down from this part, so they get rid of it, and the rest travels off towards the space station. Not all of it, though. It will separate even more later.
But as soon as you're above the air, you don't need that streamlining anymore. So it splits like a big clamshell. And then there he is. You can see out the window.
Ah, we can see the window, look. Look, we can see the Earth and space. It's going to start turning dark.
And as you can see, Tim is focused on what's happening inside. He's got 6 months to look out.
Can you see space as they're leaving Earth? That dark shadow is space. Space is dark because, even though the sun's light is very bright, it's got nothing to bounce back off. Nothing reflective, nothing that will bounce back that light. So it just keeps traveling, and you don't see it, you just see the darkness.
So he looks very relaxed.
I think he gives a thumbs up in a minute.
It's as if someone...
He's smiling. There he is. Thumbs up from Tim Peake. Okay. Fantastic. Interesting thing, when they come back down, it's not like that. They don't have the big blast off rockets. Basically, what they've got is a very heat-proof little capsule that people sit in. Do lots of British people go into space? No, that's why it was a really big deal, Mr. Jordan. Tim Peake was the first British person to travel with the European Space Agency. But when they come back to Earth, they have to go through the ozone layer. And that gas rubs, it creates friction against the spaceship. So it gets really, really burning hot. So it has to be fireproof. And then, like they did with the first moon landing, they will open parachutes when they're closer to the Earth, and they will land the ship. But basically, when you are returning to Earth, you are falling to Earth. Although SpaceX, which we're about to learn about, SpaceX, they are working on ships that can be used again. It costs a lot of money. To go into space. So if they can use a rocket more than once, because at the minute they don't, if they can use a rocket more than once, it would save lots of money in space travel, and we could do it more. Right, moving on from Tim Peake then, and on to this guy here. Some of you might recognize him. Does anybody know what he does? Does anybody know what this guy does? Elon Musk is his name. Does anybody know what he does? or who he is. Who is he? Well, I'll tell you in a moment. Let's see if anybody else knows anything about him. Who is Elon Musk? He is a CEO. He's a CEO. Yes, he's CEO of SpaceX, so he's the big boss of SpaceX. Is there anything else that he does? I bet Anglesey kids could go to space. Well, Mr. Jordan, we're going to talk about commercial space flight very soon. CEO of SpaceX. He's not just in SpaceX, though. He does other things. Anything else? SpaceX, that's the key thing. That's what we're going to look at. But he is the CEO of other companies as well. Does anybody know what his other companies are? He buys Bitcoin, probably. Although, you know, he's got billions and billions and billions of pounds. This guy, he's very, very rich. Only adults can. Well, you don't know in the future, Zaid. In the future, children might be able to go into space. It depends how regular it becomes. CEO of Tesla. Well done. Yeah, he is the CEO of Tesla. Tesla, of course, named after Nikola Tesla, a famous older scientist. They make cars, electric cars, the Tesla cars. Yeah. Did he make PayPal? I'm not sure about that, Mr. Jordan. Maybe he did, but he certainly got rich some way. Maybe it was PayPal. But yeah, he's the CEO of Tesla. He is the CEO of SpaceX, and he's also the CEO of Neuralink. He's looking at joining brains to computers, which is something science fiction, doesn't exist yet, but he's working on that. But the key thing we're going to focus on is SpaceX, his SpaceX company. He's the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla. SpaceX are interested in sending people to Mars. So they're kind of working with other space agencies, but really they want to be the first company to put humans on Mars. And that's what everyone's kind of gearing towards as the next big step. And within your lifetime, we are probably going to see people on Mars. That will be fantastic. Could you imagine on a whole nother world, not even just the moon, which takes 4 days to get to, 4 years of space travel to go and stand on a brand new world, a whole new planet. But he doesn't want to stop there. What he wants to do is he wants to colonize Mars. And we kind of brought this up in the 24-hour live stream, the word colonize. And what he wants to do is he wants to establish a colony on Mars. Does anyone know what a colony is or what he wants to do on Mars? What's his plan? What do I mean by establishing a colony on Mars? I'm drawing a rocket. Fantastic. Happy birthday, Hamza. Shout out. Hashtag subscribe. A group of people make people, yeah, Harris, well done. Good to see you here. It means they want people to live on Mars. They want people to be born on Mars. They want to set up an ecosystem, a place where people can live, where they can eat. They just have a life on Mars. That's what they are working towards. First, get there. Second, can we live on Mars? Very, very exciting stuff from Elon Musk and SpaceX. Final little fact about Elon Musk. He sent a car into space. He sent a Tesla into space with a little robot pilot. He just shot it up into space, and that is up there right now, a car in space. How bizarre is that? Elon Musk, you can find out lots more about SpaceX online, but we are going to move on to kind of our final talking point about space today. We are going to look at Virgin Galactic, and this is kind of what Mr. Jordan was talking about children going up into space or other people going up into space, because Virgin, and you might have heard of Virgin before. Virgin Atlantic do flights from England to America. They cross the Atlantic Ocean. So they own their own airline, Virgin. But they do other things. They do music. It's a really big company owned by Richard Branson, who owns his own island. He has his own island. I love in fact, I have my own island. If you look near Australia, there's a group of islands called the Keeling Islands, has my name. But yeah, He's in charge of Virgin Media. If you have Virgin Internet, these are the same people. Virgin Internet, same people. They are working on something called Virgin Galactic, where they are building commercial space flight. So that means in the future, people will be able to pay to go into space, just like they pay now to get on an airplane. A whole new world indeed. I'm not going to sing it, Mr. Jordan. But this, well, here are some pictures I'm going to show you. This is their space rocket. This is what they want to take people into space on. Now, they're not taking people to the moon. They're not taking people to Mars. They are just literally going into space so you can see the Earth from space and then flying you back down. This is a real building. This is the Virgin Spaceport. Why do you think it's called Spaceport? Think of the word airport. Why do you think they've called it the Spaceport? What do we think? Spaceport. Anyone? Well, it's because it's where they'll take off from. An airport takes you into the air. The spaceport will take you, hopefully, in the future, into space. Let's have a look inside the rocket. This is what the inside of the rocket will look like for people that are traveling to space. Lots of windows above you so that you can see the Earth from above. Very comfy, relaxing chairs, not many of them initially, and that's because at the moment it costs quite a lot to buy a ticket. They have sold tickets. There are people waiting for this to happen so they can go into space. Can you have a guess how much it costs if you want to go on this ship? Have a guess how much it would cost you if you want to fly on this ship. How much do you think it would cost you? 1 million. It's less. It's less than 1 million. Yes, Mr. Jordan, they will float if they take off their seatbelts. Less than 1 million, but it's still a lot of money. Anyone? $1,000. Much more than 1,000. No, not sure. Okay. This is how much? $23.19. Wow, we've got the exact amount right there. 250,000. No, sorry, 250,000. Sorry, 250,000 pounds. That is £250,000 to get a ticket to be one of the first on there. Now, there have been problems. There have been problems with Virgin Galactic. One of their space flights that they tried basically blew up in the air, and sadly, people lost their lives on this. The pilots, there wasn't actual people on it because they're still testing at the moment, but sadly already people have lost their lives with Virgin Galactic. But they are still working, they are still trying to get it just right, and in the future it will probably be as safe as traveling on a plane. So when Mr. Jordan said, I think Anglesey children could probably go into space in the future, I think you probably will go into space. If you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to. Right, we have had lots of facts there today. So we come here. What have you learned about space today? Let's go over to the board. Right, as I said at the beginning, this lesson was to add a final paragraph to your chronological report. Now, we haven't finished our chronological report, but this paragraph will go right at the end because it's in time order and this is modern space. This is what's happening now. So, I didn't know people, sadly people have lost their life going into space on rockets. There's been quite a few rockets that just haven't made it, and people have lost their lives, which is really, really sad. And as well as that, there have been lots of successful ones that have made it, which have been really, really big steps. As I say at the minute, they're still working on making it as safe as possible. Yes, all welcome. We'll do another 24-hour fundraiser for it. What, to get to space, Mr. Jordan? I think we'd have to raise quite a lot more. We're not going to, I mean, buying a ticket on Virgin Galactic, £500,000. I don't think so, sir. And who would get the ticket anyway? Would we do it in a raffle? Right, that's not the point. Let's get back to our lesson. Our last paragraph is going to be about space today. And all I want you to do for your final paragraph on the chronological report is write me 3 to 5 of those facts that I gave you today, and to use some of these as sentence openers. Let's have a look. 1 fact. Another interesting development. Start a sentence with also. In addition to. And you can do a question. Did you know? Now these are all sentence openers. I've given you 5. 1 fact, another interesting development, also in addition to this, and did you know? That's 5 openers. That means you can get up to 5 sentences with those openers. And all you have to do to build your paragraph is pair these openers to your facts that we've learned in today's lesson about the International Space Station, about Tim Peake, about Elon Musk, and about Virgin Galactic. Let's have a go at trying to build them. Now, be very careful. You can start your first sentence with either 1 fact or did you know. You can't start it with another interesting development. You can't start it with also, and you can't start it with in addition to, because these are all facts that come after the first fact. Let's see, remembering some of the facts, can you build me a sentence in the chat using one of these openers? Let's see, Ryan's got one. Did you know the satellite orbiting in space moves around the Earth 16 times a day and 16 times at night? That is fantastic. You should put that into your paragraph. Well done, Rayan. Any others? Let's maybe, because we've already got 1 fact now, we could put another interesting fact or another interesting development and build another fact. Somebody give me another fact. What else? What else have we learned today? Tell me about Virgin Galactic. Tell me about Tim Peake. Anything. Tell me about the person who spent the longest time in space, 438 days, if you remember. Build me a fact using one of these openers. And type it into the chat. Let's see. Another interesting fact is that Richard Branson started his company selling music records. I mean, we didn't learn that fact, Mr. Jordan, but it is interesting. Over, sideways, and under on a magic carpet ride. Umi is singing Aladdin. Not really what we're doing here, Umi. But, you know, nice to have a little sing-along. Anybody else build me a fact? What about water in space? What shape does the water take on? Can anybody add it to the chat? I'll give you about 30 seconds to try and get me another couple of facts. In addition to this, Elon Musk sent a car into space. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Maybe let the kids try. Yes, but you'd have to put that into a full sentence. So, 1 fact about the International Space Station, or lack of gravity, is that water becomes a sphere. Water becomes a sphere. Good. Also, it is, yeah, you could add that. So you could put, also, it is dangerous to pass wind on the space station. Did you know the space station moves around the Earth in orbit? Get that language in there. Fantastic. Good. Okay, we're going to pause the lesson there. I've given you lots of facts, and you can re-watch to collect those facts if you didn't do it the first time. But what I want on your chronological report, which I would like sending to me when it's done, is a paragraph all about space today. You can use my sentence openers. Give it a go, and let's see what you come up with. Before we finish, we've got two things to do. Also, Elon Musk is trying to colonize Mars. That's a great fact. Well done, Harris. What we're going to do before we finish is, I said at the beginning, I've got a poem to read. This is from Azan, and I thought it was a brilliant nonsense poem. So let me just get that up. I did have it up. Oh no, I think I've closed it down. 1 second. Let me just get up your poem, Azan. Yeah. Two. Okay. Azan. Here we are. So I'm just going to read this poem. This is written by a year 2 child. We're going to do a bit more on poetry later. It's called Christmas Things. A snowman stands still at the top of a hill with its carrot nose tiptoeing on its toes. Elves say hello to their fellows, listening with its ear to see if Santa's here. Red robin on a tree flies far to be free, flutters away to slap my face. Alas, you've solved the case. Farewell, Christmas magic, never be tragic. Just a little poem there from Azan. Well done, Azan, for sending that through. If you've got your own nonsense poems, please send them to us. I love reading poetry. It's short, but it's fun. So please keep sending poems if you've got them. Final thing, I said Friday I will do a lesson. I will do a lesson about whatever you want. It can be about anything. So let's have some suggestions in the chat. What lesson should I do on Friday? What do we think? It can be anything. Let's have some suggestions and then we'll have a vote. What lesson should I do on Friday? Special holiday lesson can be about anything. Doesn't have to be about school. It can be about, like I say, anything. Dennis the Menace. I could do one art, maths maybe. But when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear. Umi, fantastic singing there. The Vietnam War. Wow, yeah, I've been to Vietnam. Saw some of the traps that they set for the Vietnamese War. Not very nice. Cat family panthers. So maybe the cat family. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do a science experiment. Yes, Kesa, you were on the live stream. I do remember you. The Ottoman Empire, experiment, art, phonics. We can do anything. Dinosaurs, like I said, Pokemon, Digimon, anything. It doesn't have to be. It can be the history of Ottoman Empire. Seems to be quite popular. We could perhaps do something around the Ottoman Empire. Any other suggestions? Kittens, learn about kittens, Mr. Jordan. We could do a lesson on Spider-Man, the history of Spider-Man. I actually like the sound of that. Maybe on other superheroes as well. Do we do a superheroes lesson? All right, let's have a vote then. I'm going to put it to you. We'll see how many we get in the chat. Here's the choice. We can do. Let me just go back and see what the suggestions were. Cats. Okay, all right. So we can do a lesson on superheroes, the history of superheroes, and maybe at the end we write our own comic book. We could do that one. We could do a lesson learning all about big cats, so lions, panthers, tigers, all that kind of thing. Or we could do a lesson on, what did you say? The Ottoman Empire. It's up to you. Let's put it into the chat now. Let's have a vote. So it's Spider-Man, superhero lesson, the Ottoman Empire, or on big cats. What are we going to go for? Type it into the chat now. We'll have a little vote, and then I'll see what I can prepare. Superheroes, the Ottoman Empire, or Big cats, Ottoman Empire, Mr. Jordan says. 2 for Spider-Man, 3 for Spider-Man, 2 superheroes, Ottoman Empire. Thanks, big cats. Okay. I think superheroes look very popular. Do you know what? We'll do all 3. We'll do a bit on superheroes, we'll do a little bit on the Ottoman Empire, and we will do a bit on big cats. Yeah, why not? Holiday lesson, we'll put all 3 in there. Anyway, I need to get going because I'm in a meeting now. It started at 12 o'clock. It is now 20 past. I've talked for way too long. Please rewatch the video. Please collect as many facts about space today as you can. And please add me a space today paragraph at the end of your chronological report. That's not the end, though. We've still got other paragraphs to do on that. So don't send it to me straight away. Save it. Add this paragraph at the very end. Good luck. Thank you for watching today. I will see you all on Friday. We'll have a lesson on superheroes, big cats, and the Ottoman Empire. I will see you then. Take care and goodbye.